In this video, we're going to talk a little bit more about how to create an amazing resume, one that will really help you sell yourself the best way to a potential employer. Ultimately, a resume needs to be your best work, but it also needs to reflect who you are. So while there are some basic rules and some tips you want to follow, in general, this is something that you need to be happy with, something that you feel really reflects you and your abilities. So number one, as I mentioned, there are a couple of general guidelines, some tips that you want to follow. The most important thing is be consistent. If you have listed your job title first in your experience section, then your degree title needs to be first in your education section. That will help an employer read it more quickly, and it also demonstrates that you have great attention to detail skills. In addition, be sure that you've carefully proofread your resume. Don't rely on spell check to get all of those typos. If there is a typo, sometimes employers will use that one typo to disregard you from a candidate search. Now, it might not quite seem fair, but if they're getting 200 resumes, they need something to start narrowing down the process. So don't let that be a typographical error or a spelling error for you. Also, you want to ensure that your real estate, so to speak, on that resume really counts. Don't put anything on there that doesn't lead to you getting a position, that doesn't help sell your best skills and qualities. In fact, for an undergraduate resume, you really need to keep that professional resume to one page. For a graduate student, you can have a full 2 pages, but again, everything that should be on there should be leading towards you getting that job and demonstrating the best fit for the particular position to which you're applying. There are a couple of categories that are sort of required headings and required categories. The number one thing, of course, is the heading. Make sure that your name, your email address, and your telephone number are listed prominently and that they're legible, big enough font so that they can actually be read. Also, ensure that your phone number is correct. I've seen several resumes where students didn't get calls because they had put the wrong phone number or missed up 2 numbers or something like that on their resume. So make sure your phone number is correct. Your email should be something boring, maybe your @Illinois email address. Don't make it too cute. Obviously, dorkboy@AOL.com is not going to sell you very well. In the main body of your resume, you should have 2 different sections. The rest are kind of optional, but the 2 that are required are your education. Highlight your degree and actually, yes, list out the type of degree and the specific name of it that you're receiving, and then some type of experience, whether that's jobs or research or projects that you've done in your classes or even activities that you've been involved in. There are a number of optional categories. Just a few might include an objective or a summary, although I would say be careful with that category. I've unfortunately seen several resumes get discluded because of an objective. So your objective should be specific. It should state what you want to do for the company, not what you're hoping to get. So to obtain a job as, don't put that. It should be more what you want to do for the company. And again, be specific. I had a student one time who had said that she was interested in either food science or pharmaceuticals, and the Kraft Heinz company decided not to include her in an interview schedule. And when I asked why, it was because of that objective. They said, she's such a top candidate, she's got such a strong GPA, we know she's going to go to pharma, and we can't pay what they're paying. To me, as a career services person, that just felt completely wrong, and I'm sure as you as a job seeker would as well. So either don't include an objective or make sure that it's specific for each employer to which you're applying. Other potential things you can include, as I mentioned, projects, relevant coursework. If you've done publications or presentations, those should be included. Perhaps honors and awards or activities or professional associations that you've been affiliated with. And then finally, skills is another good category. It's a great way to be able to sell those lab skills or computer skills. Stick to the technical skills. Don't put the soft, fluffy stuff on there. But the technical skills that you have that might be relevant for an employer. A few other general tips just to keep in mind. You want to make sure that your font and the size of your font are conservative, kind of basic, nothing too fancy. If you have a little bit of fancy font in your name, that's okay, but the rest of it should be kind of basic and boring, if you will. Be specific with the information that you include. always be specific with dates. You don't have to put the day, but definitely include August 2018 or whatever. The month of the year are important. Do not include personal pronouns. So that would be I, we, their. None of those should be anywhere on your resume. And when you're writing, write in list format. Use results-oriented action verbs to start that bulleted list, and always include the outcomes. Outcomes are so important. The achievements that you received. The so what. I did this, so what. Don't make it like a job description resume, but rather really sell yourself. And finally, as I mentioned, bulleted lists. Don't write in big complete paragraphs because they're not going to get read. An employer will skim through that. And if you don't care if an employer skims through your resume, some information that you have there, it's probably something that shouldn't be on your resume. So here are a couple of good examples. You can see that there is a little bit of fancy font in the heading title, and that's fine. But otherwise, it's very consistent. So the job title is listed first, followed by on the second line, the employer name or the university name and the date. And then there's specific action verbs. So either the prepare or prepared would be the correct way to start with that action verb. And there's outcomes listed. And then under another section, you're going to do the same way. So perhaps your education section, you would list your degree title first, and then your school name on the second line, followed by your anticipated graduation date. GPA or any additional information can be listed in bullets, just like on this section. Here's another example. You can see there's maybe a little bit of italics that are used and underlining that are used here, but again, it's consistent throughout. So that consistency is really important, as is using those action verbs and the outcomes. So make sure that as you're describing things, you really give them a full picture. If you need additional assistance or you would like some assistance, perhaps reviewing your resume, our office is happy to help you with that. You can either email us or stop by. You can also schedule an appointment and we'd be happy to sit down with you.